Welcome to the BMW 335i. For many of my subscribers that have stuck around on this channel, Simply Car Things, you guys know that the 335i is a very special car to me because, for one, I used to own one. It was the first real car that I actually had and ever performed modifications to, and I kind of built a large audience and following around that car and that platform. This car is a very special car to me as well because not only is it a 335i, it's a 335i of a very close friend of mine, and I've actually gotten to witness this car grow from a completely stock 2011 335i all the way into what it is today. It's been over 3 years in the making, and this car is just fantastic. It is such a cool car. This is a 2011 BMW 335i. It features the N55 V30 engine, and it is a PWG, meaning it's a pneumatic wastegate on the single turbo. And it's a very mechanical car to some extent. What I mean by mechanical car is the way that the E9X generation was developed as a whole. This car definitely has a lot of qualities and attributes that make it feel like a very connected driver's car in comparison to a lot of the newer BMWs that we find ourselves driving today. For one, let's get right into the steering feel. Man, the steering feel on this E92 is just fantastic. It has that amazing hydraulic power steering rack, tons of good driver feedback and feel. With all the bumps and crevices in the road, you really get that connection between the driver and the road itself. And on top of that, you have a really nice amount of weight on the steering, and it's not artificial weight, it's natural. It works. It feels really, really good. In addition to that, the steering is very on point with this car. When you turn it and throw it into corners, very on center, very direct for the most part, and you feel that feedback. It really does go a long way, and it's interesting because it's so hard for most car manufacturers to replicate that sound nowadays. Now, this 335i is a really clean, tasteful, OEM plus example of how I would personally do a 335 as well. It features full bolt-ons with BC Racing coilovers, Pure Stage 2 turbos, avant-garde M590 wheels, and a host of other brilliant modifications like carbon fiber kidney grills, a carbon fiber rear diffuser, and a carbon fiber front lip to really transform the overall looks of this car. And that is one thing that I do just absolutely love about the E90s and the E92s, is they're such good looking cars. As a 2 Series owner, I love my car and I love the way it looks, but man, the E92 is just so incredibly special in the way that the design is and the proportions are. And not to mention that amazing performance and brakes. I gotta say, this car does have a good braking feel. So taking this car spiritedly through some back roads, it's just really, really fun. The driving position in this car is pretty nice. You do get a really good outward sense of the road in front of you, but I will say one slight con is that in the E92s, you just kind of sit high up, and you really can't, with these OEM seats, you can't get super low. And when I'm driving aggressively or spiritedly, I like to be as low as possible. And unfortunately with the E92, you don't get that. But nevertheless, it's not a bad driving position. One thing that I also really enjoy about the E92 is the interior. It is beautiful. Especially given the fact that this is an interior based off of a 2006 car. It has held up so well. There's no bullshit, there's no gimmicks in it. It's just classy, it's clean, tasteful, and luxurious. It's very ergonomical. Just like with all BMW interiors, everything is right where you need it to be, and there are no issues at hand with finding what you need in this interior. My buddy Shane has also implemented this really nice aftermarket head unit, which normally I'm not a fan of, but this one is integrated so cleanly within the center dash and console of this vehicle that it fits really, really well. So let's talk about that Pure Stage 2 turbo and these bolt-ons. So Shane is currently running a 91 octane custom tune for this car with the Pure Stage 2 turbo and the bolt-ons. He also has an E30 flash for E85. And while we are on 91 today, this car definitely pulls. Given that it's an N55, yes, it's not an N54, and it still makes very good power, and it pulls really, really hard. It's interesting because this is a twin scroll turbo, and you definitely feel that spool up very early on, and you feel the torque come on very early within the power band. So it's really fun. You don't have to really get on the throttle to start feeling that push within your seat. And overall, what's also really nice is the top end power is definitely there. This car just feels so dang fast through the straight lines and the turns. It really just makes for a very enjoyable driving experience, and you get a lot of power. There really is no shortage of it. That Pure Stage 2 turbo really breathes a lot of life into these N55 cars. And it's cool because this is the first time I've really gotten to get my hands on a Pure Stage 2 N55, and it feels good. It really feels like there's a lot of power. I also want to mention that Shane has this really nice aftermarket flat bottom steering wheel, and steering wheels make a huge difference when it comes to driving your car because that's what you're placing your hands on, obviously. And this one has some perforated leather on the sides, and then on the top and bottom it has Alcantara with a nice red scarf to sort of finish off the wheel, and it's really nice. Like, aesthetically, it is very pleasing to look at, and it feels so nice. So I've talked a lot of good things about this car. What are some cons about the E92 335 so far? As I stated previously, the driving position isn't perfect. I definitely wish you could just sit a little bit lower within the interior of this car just to give you a little bit more of a connected and driver sporty feel, but it's not a huge deal. I also would like to say that this car is definitely a big car, and with that it makes it a little bit heavy, and something about the E92 chassis just feels a little bit big when you're tossing it around. It's kind of hard to describe, and given all that weight of 3,600 plus pounds or so on the car, it does feel like there is some heft to this vehicle. The E92 is somewhat big, and coming from a 2 Series which has a lot smaller proportions and just feels a little bit more tossable, you feel that extra car through these back roads. But getting into the third gripe or con that I would have about this car, and this is the last one that I really have, it is the transmission. Now I might sound like a hypocrite because for the longest time I really did praise this ZF6 automatic transmission, and it is a good unit, especially given the time that it was introduced. It's a really good transmission. But when you are driving fast, especially for like track use and when you want quick downshifts and stuff, it doesn't really have that response time that a lot of people would be looking for, unfortunately. There is a little bit of a delay. I know you can flash the transmission, but overall, you know, it does have that very somewhat sludgy torque converter feel to it. But overall, this car is awesome. It also sounds incredible. So Shane has an OEM factory 335i muffler, but it has the OEM MPE mod. So essentially the muffler is like gutted from the inside, paired with a catless downpipe. It has barely any drone on the interior. There's literally no drone at all. And you also get an amazing tone. You get tons of aggression from the exhaust system itself, lots of sound from the outside, but you also have this nice level of refinement within the interior and the exterior that really just makes it the perfect exhaust setup, in my opinion. It's actually really tempting me to want to get an MPE on my car as well because it sounds so good. As Shane was telling me earlier, he built the perfect daily. I mean, this car is good looking, it's fast, it handles pretty well for what it is, it's fun, it's luxurious. I mean, it's just like there's so many things to like about this car, and given the price range that these 335s go for, you really just can't go wrong with one of these cars. It's just so damn fun. Shane currently has some StopTech slotted rotors with RBF 600 fluid, StopTech pads as well, and the braking feel in this car is fantastic. The pedal has the right amount of bite to it. It feels firm when you press into it, and you get lots of braking feel and stopping power. You really get a lot of confidence when you're driving this car. It feels awesome. I really got to say, I'm very thankful to be able to have the opportunity to drive this car today and get to review it. Finally got around to it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please be sure to give me a thumbs up as well as subscribe to the channel if you are new here. Really appreciate the support on the channel, guys. Happy New Year, happy holidays as well. I'll catch you all in the next one.